What's tricky about this work and tricky about the process, you see, is that there has to be two things taking place. I have to very adeptly and entertainingly wind my way, you see, into the aspect that is your ego. I have to provide some sort of context that makes you not want to just snap out of it, just kind of click off, move on to the next cat video, move on to the next movie preview. So I have to address that part first. I have to go there and say, yeah, motherfucker, I was just like you, flitting around like a BB in a tin can, like a, cat in an alley. Not really knowing where it's going, not really wandering, having a path, having a direction, having any confidence. Just flitting around with the wind. That's ego. So I have to speak to that. I have to walk up to it and I have to give it a fist bump. In the end, I got really no problem with ego. Ego is necessary. It's all about what is ego's place. And for most of you humble human beings out there on thine little planet, ego is the thing that's way out front and that's fucking everything up. And is the toxic environment that we live in. The toxic political environment is because everyone's running around with their egos way the fuck out front. The toxic religious environment, ego way out front. Toxic economic environment, egos, me, want, need, way out front. That's okay. I speak street. I'm cool with all that. I got you covered. I got no problem with ego. But the thing you see that makes ego work, that makes ego its co-captain, that makes ego its bitch, is discovering that there's this part of you, this internal awareness, this internal empty part, that once it becomes the captain, once it's in charge of things, then ego is fine, ego is in its place. And it doesn't tend to ruin, it doesn't tend to dominate and control, fuck up, and greed, and me, which leads to hostility and equity, war, division, genocide, racism, political you against me and they against them, ego, all that bullshit. So I have to speak to both halves. I come up to the ego and I fist bump it, and then I say, hey, there's something else you're missing. There's something inside that you've missed because our stupid fucking culture hasn't told you about it. Because we're all brainwashed, we're all running around prisoners in this prison, and no one has said to you, hey, look, there's a way out, the door's open, you just gotta walk out it. You don't need to be in here. Our culture hasn't taught you about this awareness. Our culture hasn't said to you, yo, man, there's a part of you that has gone undiscovered, that you're ignorant of, and that is worth investigating, that is really worth peering into. There's a part of you. So our culture doesn't do that. So it's just strange ass motherfuckers like myself who come along, get in your face, and tell you this shit. Because you need to hear it. Because you want to hear it. I know you do. There's a part of you that needs to hear it, that wants to hear it, that longs to hear it, that wants to hear the real fucking deal. Okay, is there something more to this life? If not, fuck it. If there wasn't more to this life, then I'd be with you, brother. I'd be like, fuck it. Go rob a bank. Go make $1 billion. Whatever. Toxify the whole entire fucking world. There's nothing more. Who cares? But there is something more. That's the thing. There's definitely something more. And so, speaking to that half, what I do is I meet the ego, fist bump the ego, I'm cool with the ego. And then I say to the ego, hey buddy, or gal, just for a few minutes, I'm with you. Could you step just aside for a few minutes? There's somebody else I actually want to talk to. Yeah, somebody else. Thank you. And so now that part of you kind of scoots over, and I push it out of the way, and I start speaking to some other little part of you, some other little part of you, which is not so little actually. It actually is the infinite part of you. It is the open part of you. It is the wild, caressed by life, caressed by the universe part of you. The wild part of you which doesn't know how to express itself, can't find its footing, can't find its trajectory in this life. And that wild part wants to be seen, wants to be held, wants to be nurtured, wants to be talked to. That wild part also wants to be fist bumped, and I'm here to do that. I'm here to say to that infinite part of you, yeah, man, I got you covered too. And I love you too, brother, sister. You're awesome.